Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play the Hero of Kendrickstone. This time we are starting at chapter 3 after we arrived to the city of Kendrickstone. So let's get on with it, okay? Okay. So chapter 3, Rogues and Wizards. You walk through the city gates of dawn. A guard looks at you as you pass, but satisfied that you are no threat, he does not bar your path. The high narrow passage through the gatehouse is dark and entirely unlike anything you've seen before. You take a deep breath and walk forward, focused entirely on the dimming light at the other end. Then you are through, and you find yourself within the city walls, surrounded by a massive throng of people who mingle and surge and crowd the narrow, well-trodden city streets, even at this late hour. The sense of the city overwhelms you from every direction. First, there is the noise, the cacophony of hundreds of people, merchants hawking their wares, 100 different conversations, the cries of animals and children, the rattle of carts, and 100 other noises. It is all the bubbling babble of a village meeting magnified 1,000-fold. Then there are the smells. The sweat and stink of thousands of unwashed bodies, the miasma left by the piss and shit of humans and animals both, the stench of rotting food, smoke and cooking grease, and other foul odors you cannot even recognize. The air is thick with droppings and cast-offs, the rotting byproducts of tens of thousands of lives. Finally, your ears get used to the cacophony, and your nose begins to filter the overpowering stench, and you can see the glory that is Kendrickstone. Houses piled 3 or 4 stories high, stretching into the distance like a jumbled mass, the high, thick walls cordoning them from the outside world. To one side stands an immense human-raised mountain of spires and turrets and crenulated bulwarks in blood-rent stone, the city's keep where the Duke of Kendrickstone rules all he surveys. To the other side, a strange construction overlooks the city, what looks like 2 towers, one upend and hovering in mid-air above the other. Either that's the Wizard Tower or you're the Mansa of Corellandis. With the quickly drawing day, you need to decide where to go. I'll go to the keep and enter Dame Mildred's service, or I'll go to the Wizard's Tower to see if its inhabitants might hire me, or I don't want to serve anyone, I'll find an inn to stay in. Well, we previously signed up for Dame Mildred's service, so I see no reason why not go there. You head into the winding maze of narrow roads, some cobbled, some nothing more than a thick layer of dirt, rainwater, and other materials you really don't want to think about. You head in the general direction of the keep, but soon the towering houses to each side of you blot out the setting sun and the blood-red walls of the keep. You find yourself hopelessly lost. Before long, you have no idea at all where you are. You've never been in a big city like Kendrickstone, and the gloom of night coupled with the shadowy silhouettes of the buildings around you has left you entirely disoriented. Worse yet, the throngs of people who were crowding the streets not long ago have retreated into their homes. You're practically alone. Practically, but not quite. You turn yet another corner in the evening gloom, only to find yourself face to face with a pug-faced man in a stout leather jacket, a truncheon in one hand and a lit torch in the other. "You there," he demands. "Where are your papers, boy?" I tell him the truth. I have no idea what he's talking about. I pretend to look for the papers while I think of a plan, or I run. This man clearly means me harm. Well, I tell him the truth. I have no idea what he's talking about. Papers? What papers, you sputter? What are you talking about? The man with a truncheon steps closer. Your writ of protection, you stupid boy. Where is it? He snarls. A writ of protection? You have no idea what he could possibly mean. I don't know what you're talking about, you protest. Well, that's a real shame, whispers a voice from behind you as a cold steel of a sharp blade presses against your throat. The man with the truncheon whistles 2 notes, sharp and loud in the evening gloom. Another dozen of men and women step out of the shadows, seemingly from every alleyway and alcove, Some carry daggers, some clubs. 3 hold steel-bowed arbalests capable of punching holes through steel plate. Great. Being out alone at night without a writ of protection, you should know better. The man with the truncheon snarls. You should know what that means. You spend a moment completely confused, since you very obviously don't. The thug with the truncheon growls in frustration. Hand over your money and weapons, you stupid idiot, he snarls. We'll leave you the clothes on your back as a courtesy, but next time we find you out with no writ, we'll just slit your throat and have done with you. How wonderful. For the second time today, someone's trying to rob you. The situation looks grim indeed. You're in an unfamiliar city, alone, at night, and surrounded by more than a dozen heavily armed robbers. What now? Well, trying to find my way out now will probably not work. They have the arbalests, and those things are nasty. Running and trying to lose them in the city streets. I think this might work. If I mention Dame Mildred, probably that could bear some weight, but I'm not entirely sure. There must be some way to convince these people you're not someone they want to rob. Perhaps you can pretend you are a child of a powerful noble? No, your clothes aren't fine enough. The old standby of pretending to be a wizard in a harmless disguise? That may have to do. You open your mouth to speak. What's all this then? All around you, the thugs seem to freeze up at the sound of a reedy but authoritative voice. A man steps out from the shadows. Not another thug, but a thin, balding man of middle years. Dark hair pulled back and complemented by a neatly trimmed beard. He wears a bright blue doublet, black hose, and the draped chaperon of a wealthy merchant. Let that boy go, he orders. Surprisingly enough, the knife disappears from your neck. You can't help but stare in puzzlement. A wealthy merchant alone at night and unarmed? These thugs should be robbing him, not taking orders from him. Boss, this one's fair game, the man in truncheon protests. No writ of protection or anything. Of course the boy has no writ, you stupid dolt, the man in the blue doublet replies peevishly. He's just come into town. Janet's group saw this one walk through the gate not an hour ago. The merchant walks up to you as all the thugs lower their weapons. Look, I'm quite sorry about this mess, he says to you. That doesn't even come close to answering any of your questions. In fact, it may have raised a few more. Who are you? Or what's this about a rate of protection? Or where am I? I'm gonna go with the rate of protection. A rate of protection, the merchant replies. Why, it's one of these, of course. He reaches into one of many pouches at his belt and pulls out a small roll of tough, expensive-looking vellum tied with a string of red yarn. The merchant unfolds the scroll with a practiced movement and then produces a bottle ink and a sharpened reed, the kind used for writing, from other pouch. He unstoppers the ink, dips the reed in the ink, and scribbles something onto the scroll. This scroll is 3 months' worth of protection, he says, and he offers it to you. It will ward you from thieves and other criminals. If you are ever accosted within the city walls by a thug or brigand, simply show this to them, and they'll leave you be. You take the scroll, and the merchant continues. Normally, a writ like this would cost you 50 silver. However, as an apology for your rough treatment, I offer this one for you for free. You will, of course, have to buy another at the end of 3-month period. Nice. Who are you? The well-dressed man dips his head in a polished, fluid courtier's bow. William of Hallowford, at your service. And you? I am Zygmunt, you reply, from Forester's Hallow. The merchant's eyebrows rises. Ah, so you are new here. Well, in that case, allow me to offer you some advice. These fine men and women, he gestures to the heavily armed thugs surrounding you, answer to me. Should any of them continue to trouble you in any way, do not hesitate to come to me, and I shall see your case redressed. I have a very large manse in the Brightwall quarter. It's easy to find. Your eyes widen. Who is this man, and how exactly did he obtain the immense power and wealth he seems to wield with such familiarity? William of Hallowford smiles. These folks are my workers, you see. I'm a merchant. I trade in protection. To be more specific, I ensure that no man, woman, or child under my protection in this city is threatened by pickpockets, burglars, or murderers. You return the merchant's look pointedly, remembering the feeling of sharp steel against your throat. That's funny, you say, voice dripping with irony, because I could swear your workers were about to rob me. The merchant replies with a shake of a head and an easy smile. You must understand, dear boy, I run a business. I generally find it a good policy if those unwilling to pay for protection are reminded of why that might be inadvisable. So he's basically it's a mafia running loose. So you protect those who can pay and prey on those who can? Or I see, so safety in this town has to be bought. Well, that's actually a pretty clever way to do business. Man, this one seems like it could get my head in a lot of problems. Let's go with the middle one. William of Hallowford nods his head and smiles. Of course, safety everywhere must be bought. Do you think the walls that protect this town were built from nothing? Do you think the guards who man those walls are paid with goodwill? The merchant pulls out something from his belt pouch and begins idly rolling it back and forth over his knuckles. It's a gold piece, worth 100 silver pennies, a substantial amount of money even for most nobles. Walls and guards must be paid for by taxes, the well-dressed man continues. Those taxes provide security from outside threats. I merely seek to provide the same service inside the walls. Okay, well, we now know him, and now, where am I? The man with the truncheon rolls his eyes. One of the thugs behind him actually sheathes her dagger to bury her face in her palm. You're in the Warrens, my friend, the merchant replies. It is the poorest part of town and the easiest one to get lost in. Few people who don't live here ever come in, and none by chance. Suddenly you feel very, very small. The shadows of the houses around you seem to loom even larger above you, as if to blot out everything in the sky. I very much hope, the merchant continues, that you didn't come here by choice, my friend. You shake your head nervously. No, I didn't. I guess I was pretty lucky to run into you, wasn't I? There are certainly worse scenarios running through your head. The merchant looks at you oddly for a moment, then smiles. Lucky? Yes, I suppose you might think of it that way. William of Harrowford peers up at the sky for a moment, and then looks back down. Regardless, it's best that you be getting out of here. I mean, no offense to the fine folk who live here, but the Warrens after dark can be an unpleasant place, especially if you're not used to the big city. I suppose you will need directions? I ask how to get to the keep. I ask directions through Wizard Tower. I ask where I might find a good inn. I don't need any directions. Well, so this answers my question. I was wondering if this is a random event only for people who are trying to get to the keep, but obviously not. So let's ask the way to the keep. How do I get to the keep, you ask? I'm considering seeking out the knight there. The merchant nods. A knight, eh? You might not think those noble-born snots and a humble trader like myself have much in common, but we're really one of a kind, me and them. I like order, they like order, and we sort of watch each other's back in a twisted sort of way. He takes you by the shoulder and points down one of the dark alleys. Take that road down until it splits in two. From there, turn right until you get to the river. Then walk downstream until you get to the Butcher's Bridge. It's big and stone, so you can't miss it. From there, you'll be able to find a cobbled road that leads right to the keep. Got that? You go over his instructions in your mind until you're sure you understand them. Then you nod. I wonder, can we see the map here where we are exactly? Warrants. It doesn't really say. Here's Williams of Hallowford's manse. Blazing swords in the docks. Court of Wizards Town. And here's the keep. So basically this is the bridge that we need to pass, I guess. And we are probably somewhere around here, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Though it seems like we came to Forest's Highway and we had to come from here. How the hell did we cross the bridge and miss the It doesn't make much more sense to me, but okay. I don't need any more directions. Thank you for the directions, you reply. I should probably get going. However, before you turn to leave, the man in blue speaks again. Hold a moment, he says. You stop. Now that I think about it, someone like you might be a great use to me, he says. You're young, fit, and fresh from the country. I could offer you a bed, meals, and even a little bit of pay in exchange for a few services. What kind of services? You've heard the cautionary tales of bright-eyed youths coming to the city, getting taken in by the unscrupulous and the immoral, and being forced into disreputable trades you certainly want no part in. William of Haverford recalls for half a moment an expression of shock on his face. Not the sort you're thinking of, not at all. I need a courier, someone capable of running messages and delivering an occasional warning or two. Nothing illegal, and certainly nothing unsavory. You nod at the man's vehemence, if nothing else. The merchant in blue continues. If you truly wish to work for me, follow me at a discreet distance, he says as he turns to leave. I will enter a house. Wait as long as seems prudent, and a knock upon the door. If you decide against it, walk away, and this conversation will have never happened. Before long, the bright blue of the merchant's doublet is disappearing into the shadows of the narrow streets. If you wish to follow him and enter his employ, you must decide so to do now, before you lose sight of him. Go to the keep. Achievement unlock. La Belle Dame de Sonnemercy. Not entirely sure what that means. You have entered Dame Mildred's service. Oh, okay, I see. You make your decision quickly. You want no part of William of Haverford's offer. You will take the service of Dame Mildred. I wonder, how are our stats now? Loyalty 50. Oh, okay, that's a new one. Your name? Squire of Dame Mildred. Compassion 69, Order 66. Interesting. Equipped with the merchant's directions, you have little trouble making your way to the butcher's bridge. From there, a wide, cobbled street leads directly up to the gates of the keep. By the time you arrive, the night is pitch black, and only the torches held up by the guards at the keep's entrance reassure you that you are headed in the right direction. The gate guards are jumpy as you approach them. After all, you are armed and walking up to the keep in the middle of the night. However, after you ask for Dame Mildred, they relax considerably. It seems the sentinels had already been forewarned of your possible arrival. Your would-be mistress is already at bed, but the guards are kind enough to direct you to the castle guardhouse, where you are fed a bowl of hot porridge and a few rashers of bacon, washed down with some not-too-bad ale. Then you are shown to one of the rooms set aside for sleeping. The cot you are given isn't very large, and the mattress is rather thin, but after the day you've had, you nod off as soon as your head hits the pillow. The next day, you are inducted into service as a squire to Dame Mildred of Sonnemercy. Interesting, you nod off. Never heard that expression before. And now, Chapter 4, The Beast and Her Prey.